Welcome to our review of Nik Software's Silver Efex Pro, an outstanding black and white conversion program. I've got it installed as a plug-in in Photoshop. It comes as a standalone also. So in this case, I'll just click on Filter, Nik Software, Filter Efex Pro, and simply wait for the program to open. And here we go. There we go. I'll expand that out to get the full screen. And as usual with many of these programs, you'd probably begin on the left looking at your presets. They have three categories of presets: modern, classic, and vintage. And under each, of course, vintage, you'll have those grouped, those kind of effects. You can get on all of them if you want. One effect I was looking at I kind of liked was this one, the high structure harsh. So that's a pretty good place for us to start. And after you've accomplished that, come on over to all your more fine-tuning adjustments over on the right side of the interface. You can see them all here. Where I'll usually start is I'll work on every one of these except this one. I'll do selective adjustments last. I want to get this image looking as good as I can, making global adjustments, and then I'm going to go back with the control points and really get some very specific, excruciating detail control over certain parts of the image. And this is about the best part of all Nik Software stuff, are these fantastic control points, which are really wonderful. I love all of Nik Software stuff. Global adjustments is pretty straightforward for brightness, contrast, and structure. I don't know, I'm just playing around here. I'm not looking to make a perfect image, but just to kind of give you an idea of what this thing does. Structure is kind of nice too. It's sort of like another almost contrast thing, or micro contrast kind of effect actually. If you don't want to be working so much on the shadows or the highlights, just drag your sliders up here. Okay, selective adjustments, we'll do that last. Color filters is next. Click on all these little triangles to get all your options, and these are excellent. These are like putting filters over the lens of your film camera. It doesn't put a color tint on it, but it will have very dramatic effects depending on the color of the filter. So if you click on red, I really like what that does to the sky. If you saw that, I'll click on no filter at all, and if you look up in this region of the sky, the kind of blue sky part where that was coming up, absolutely great. Some of the ones, like try the orange here, really not much of a change at all. Yellow, not much of a change. The green, a little bit, and the blue just kills the sky totally. So I'll go and leave that on red. You can play, you're not limited to those colors alone. You can play around with the hue and how strongly you want that to come in also. So you should always have that kind of option. Film types, here we go. Here are all your film types you can do. You can set up a custom film type. The nice thing about this is as you hover over each one, the effect comes in immediately. So of course this ISO 3200, you're going to get a grainy effect, and then you can go all the way down to ISO 32 with the Panatomic X, and really good. So you can replicate film effects quite nicely here. And likewise, if you want to do further tweaking and further adjustments, you can play with the grain. And you can play with this little guy, the sensitivity. This is really interesting here too. I highly recommend that you play with these guys. Some of these sliders won't seem to have much of an effect depending on your image. Some of them will have a big effect. If I play around with the red, I'm getting a little bit, but not a lot actually. What if I come down to the blue and slide that way up? Yep, it's working on the sky as it should. That's kind of nice. Makes for a little bit more dramatic sky. And play around with all of them. Cyan, that should do something to the water. It sure does, the sky and the water. That's going to darken those up a little bit. So sensitivity is a fabulous one to play with. And levels and curves, this kind of works exactly like it does in Photoshop. You can increase the contrast globally in your image by making that nice kind of S curve in your curves as you would do normally in Photoshop for that effect. Finishing adjustments, And these are really, really excellent. Now, when you get the toning, here's where you can put a tint on your image. And again, as you hover over them, you can see the effect come in. And that's super nice. That's split toner. And come on down, you can get selenium effects. There was a nice blue toner that I kind of liked here. I think it was, yeah, that one, blue toner number 8, which is just fabulous. Vignettes, of course, an indispensable part of any one of these programs. That's set to off, but then you'll have your options down here for different vignettes of both white and dark to get a whole different effect in there. I'll go ahead and leave that off for us right now. And when you do set it, your vignette, let's say I wanted a white frame too, yeah, you've got additional sliders for more effects. You want a rectangle effect, you want a circle effect, and what size do you want on your vignette. As I say, indispensable for all black and whites. You can also place the center of your vignette, as you should be able to do. And yeah, there you go. Okay. Right. The other thing on this is that you get 2 more here, burn edges, which is very cool too. You could burn all edges soft, and then you have all sorts of effects you can put in there also, where you can control in the left, top, right, or bottom specifically. You get as I slide the strength slider, you can on the left, you can see that coming in. Let's set it on the right side of the image and move the size slider up, so you can get additional effects there. The transition from the edge to the non-edge, if you will. How blurry or fuzzy would you like that transition to be? And lastly, you get image borders. So you do have a selection of borders you can place on your image. And again, as you hover over them, the effect comes in. Let's try type 9. And once you do choose a border, again, you get more options down here. The size of your border, that'll creep in on your image. It'll start cropping your image in a little bit. And the spread, as you can see, the effect there. How big of a spread do you want on your border, and how clean or how rough do you want it? You can roughen it up just a little bit or clean it up a little bit. And this guy down here, vary border, this is kind of cool. You can vary the border automatically, as the little tooltip says, and you just click on the thing and these different numbers come up, and so you can scroll through a whole different variety of effects on your border. Okay, I'll go ahead and turn that off for us. Image borders. Now the last thing I'm going to do, as promised, are these fantastic little things here, the selective adjustments. Click on control points, and we'll come down here, click on control point, because there are things I want to change here. One thing I might want to do, I might change my mind later, is maybe brighten this area up in here a little bit, or even darken it up, whatever, for our video purposes. Click on the button, come into your image, click there, and now you can start playing around. Click on that slider to see how big of an area you're affecting. It looks like we have only 3 adjustments to make, but look for that small triangle and you'll get a whole range. Brightness, contrast, structure, amplify the whites or the blacks, fine structure, which is sort of like a micro contrast deal. Brightness, do I want to bring that up just a little bit? Maybe make that just a little bit brighter. That's way too much. That looks just awful. Might want to bring that down a little bit. That's a little bit too far. I guess like that. Pretty good. It's easy to drop other control points in also. All you have to do is click the button again. And if I wanted to come down, let's say right here, I wanted to work on the structure of these rocks or bring in a little bit more detail. So click in there. Again, make sure you're seeing how big of an area you're affecting. And then I might come in here and structure now. Bring that all the way up. You're going to see some more detail in there, which is really kind of nice. Very, very nice. Now, if I liked that effect here and I wanted to bring in exactly the same settings in another place, all I have to do is hover right over here and hold down the Alt key or the Option key on a Mac and click and drag, and then it'll simply duplicate it wherever I want it to go. Let's try it over here on these guys, and then I might definitely bring that down a little bit. I think maybe something like that. Now, the other useful thing about these control points, if you're not really sure exactly the area they're affecting, come back over here and simply click that little mask button, and that will show you exactly. Come into your image with your cursor and the little control buttons will come back up, and if you think you're hitting too much of an area, click on that, drag that down a little bit, and you can do that likewise on any of the others. You can go back and click and adjust anything you want on that. Come back and click that mask guy again for that effect to go away. There you go. And if you want to delete all of them, simply click on the trash can. This is the button to duplicate them, but I like the keyboard shortcut, the Alt key or the Option key. And that is our you can group or ungroup your control points here. And that basically wraps it up for a quick rundown of Silver Efex Pro. It is just really fabulous, and my favorite part of all Nik Software stuff are these control points. You can get so many details quickly and easily and real specifically in your image. You should check out our other videos we have on Topaz Labs' B&W Effects and ON1 Software's Perfect B&W. And one very last thing, which is just incredibly great, I haven't seen in these other programs I just mentioned. If you come down to the loop and the histogram, and now just bring your cursor into the loop view, and you'll see this grayscale on the bottom. So as I go over it, what it does is it highlights for me exactly what parts of the image are really the darkest, all the way up to which ones are the brightest. I'm getting almost nothing as just a completely washed out white, and I have to get down all the way to like the 7s or the 8s. When I get into the 8s, I start seeing something in the cloud area right around here, and there it is. So this is really useful to see what kind of range of brights to darks you're getting in your image, and also click on the histogram, and that'll give you a good view also. I'm a little bit heavy on the darks. I might want to try to move that up a little bit, but all in all, I think the image is so much better than it was before, and really excellent program. I do wish there were more presets, and all the reviews I do of these programs are how the program is out of the box. You can go to the Nik Software site and get a lot more presets, but this, as I say, is the out of the box. Topaz Labs B&W Effects has a lot of presets, and this is one thing I love about that program. But Topaz Labs doesn't have these fantastic control points, which I love so much. If I had to pick between the three, ON1 and Topaz and Nik Software, I couldn't. I'd have to choose between the two. Topaz, I think it's kind of a tie between Topaz Labs and Nik Software's Silver Efex Pro. And I'm leaning really towards Nik Software's program, just specifically because of these control points. It doesn't have as many presets as Topaz Labs' B&W Effects has, which, I wish it were otherwise, but the control points really pushed me over. This has got to be my highest recommendation, really, Silver Efex Pro, but it's really close with the Topaz also. ON1 is pretty good for a lot of stuff as well. On the website, we do have 15% discounts for Nik Software, all their products, including this one. Good job, Nik Software, and they just keep getting better. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.